بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد عليه أفضل الصلاة والتسليم. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Pursuing wisdom in faith. And today inshallah ta'ala we will continue with our series of the people who shaped our history, the Islamic history. And today's story will be with a man who's been named the man with the two lights. That was his kunya, and is Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. And today inshallah we will have a quick review of his life story and how special this person was in the Islamic history. Uthman ibn Affan, of course his father Affan ibn Abi al-As, and his mother, her name is Arwa bint Qurayz ibn Rabi'ah. And the main characters, the main player of our story today, Uthman ibn Affan, was characterized with one thing. Everybody known him with one thing. Al-Haya. Al-Haya min al-Iman. I have to explain what al-Haya means because if you look it up in the dictionary, it translates to shyness. But a person who is just shy is portrayed differently in the West as of the concept of al-Haya. Al-Haya means that a person does not like to boast or do anything that might attract other people's attention. Someone who has haya will never wear flashy clothes to show off. Someone who has haya, which is part of al-Islam, part of Iman, is someone who always try to be low-key. Someone who works without anybody noticing him work. Someone who does not like to show off. And if people are watching, they will try not to do anything at all in order not to attract attention. We will continue to speak about al-Haya as we learn about this Sahabi, Uthman ibn Affan. And let's talk about how he grew up. He grew up as a merchant, as a businessman in Mecca. And he was not only a businessman, he was very nice to hang out with. They described him as a handsome man. Everybody's physical appearance was very good. And he was dark-skinned. He was not light. He had some tan, natural tan to his skin. And he was a very wealthy merchant. But he is a shy person, not in the terms of shyness, but he has haya. I give you an example of haya. When your father walks in the house, if you have proper haya, the Islamic concept of shyness and modesty, you will stand up and go and take your dad's hand, kiss his hand or kiss his forehead, and be quiet until he asks you, how are you? You don't speak over them, you have haya. If you are a girl and you're wearing shorts in your house, as you're free to do so, if your father walks in or your mom walks in, you go at least, put something on that is more modest. You would not be sitting in your room wearing whatever you want and the same clothes you wear in front of your dad. For the boys, if you have haya, you never put your foot towards your dad like this. Your dad is sitting on that side of the couch, you don't put your feet on top of the table, because in the Islamic concept of respect, it's disrespectful. Although they might not care, put your foot anywhere you want, I don't care, right? Personally, I don't care. But if you want to have proper haya, as Uthman bin Affan had, you always show the utmost respect and modesty to your mom and dad, and in society in general. You know what's a good character of haya? When the lecture is going on, for example, someone would not have the audacity to go like talk or raise noises or interrupt. No, they're always quiet. Why? Because they have haya. And when you talk to them, what they don't look at you in the face like this. No, they have modesty, they have haya. They go like this, yes sir. Especially if they're talking to someone who's older than them. That's the character of the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ. And today, if we speak about Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, we have to speak about haya. He was not only a person with haya, he also was very modest. He had tawadu', he was very generous, and he was pious. Can you buy people's love with money? You cannot pay people to love you. But Uthman ibn Affan, people loved him even though he was very rich. He was a rich man, but everybody loved him. He was not that rich man who was like, hey, come here, you give me this, hey, I'll pay you rent. You know that rich, arrogant person? No, he was not that type of arrogant, rich person. Although he was very rich, as we will see in the course of the story, he was very humble that poor people loved him. So when he gave them sadaqah, he gave them love. Not only sadaqah, that's the difference. When you humility is when you give love, not some change. You want to know an example of that? A common friend that I have, you know what he did one time? He was driving his car at a gas station, and someone asked him for hey, yo man, can you spare a quarter? Can you spare some change? This is a Muslim, right? A convert Muslim who heard the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he wanted to implement it. So the man asked him for some change, and this Muslim brother, you know what he did? He told him, hold on one second. He took some money out of his pocket. He took some perfume and put it on the money, on the change, the coins, while the person is watching. He put it and he rubbed the perfume there, and then he told the poor person, please take the money from my hand. He didn't put the money on top of his hand like this. No, he says, you take the money from my hand. And the person's looking, what is this guy doing? So he took the money. He says, sir, why'd you put perfume on the money? He says, because our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that before you put the money in the hand of the poor person, you put it in the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And our mother Aisha radiallahu anha, she used to do that with the poor person. She would put money in perfume. She said, if I'm putting this money in the hand of Allah, it better smell good, because I'm doing this for the sake of Allah. He said, and as for you picking up from the top, not the bottom, your hand being the top, not the bottom, he says, our Prophet told us that the upper hand is better than the lower hand. And today, I want your hand to be the upper hand, even though I'm giving the donation. And all this was done by our mother Aisha radiallahu anha. She put perfume on the money, and then when she handed it to the poor person, she said, put the money on a plate, and she slid the plate under the door, so that person would pick it up like this from the top, not go like this, like a begging. And that poor person in the gas station started crying. He sat down and cried. He said, nobody ever treated me with this much respect. The respect of Islam. When you respect a human being because of his or her humanity, not because they are rich, famous, prominent, or they're poor or miserable, you disrespect. No. You just respect a human being. And these are the core teachings of Islam. And Uthman ibn Affan had these characters even before Islam. Even before he received the message of this da'wah of Islam. Radiallahu anhu wa arda. Uthman ibn Affan never bowed to idols. He did not worship idols. Uthman ibn Affan never fornicated. He did not, even before Islam, in the Jahiliyyah time, he never had no girlfriend, no other dating, haram stuff. He refused to do that. And on top of that, he never drank alcohol. Just like Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu anhu, as we saw 2 weeks ago. Uthman ibn Affan took upon himself to be a noble person. For you to know that the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to be the best friends of his messengers, of his messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are special people. People who are honorable even before al-Islam. Uthman ibn Affan was the 4th person to become a Muslim. It's very simple. The 4th person to become a Muslim. He was from the early people who converted to Islam. He was in his 30s. They said he was in his early 30s. We don't know, 31, 32, 33. We do not know exactly. And he was invited by whom to Islam? By Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhuma. Listen to the conversation that happened between Abu Bakr and Uthman. Uthman was a very wise man, very quiet, haya, shy, calm. And he had an aunt came to visit him. She told him, Uthman, did you hear about this new religion? He said, which religion? He heard Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Yeah, I know him. He claims to be the new prophet. And honestly, I believe that he's up to something good. That's all she told him. So they called this lady, they called her a wise woman. So Uthman ibn Affan, this is the first time he gets exposed to a new religion. He did not know anything about it. He just heard about it. He heard new religion. So he leaves his house and he meets someone he knows for a long time, is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq looked at him and he saw Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhum, and he told him, Ya Uthman, Wallahi, he swore by Allah, Wallahi innaka la rajulun hazin, ma yakhfa alayka al-haq. You are a man of tough decisions, of firm opinion, that haqq, the truth, cannot be strange to you. If you see the truth, you will recognize it. Not unlike blind people, like blind of the heart, of course. You know, they see the truth and they cannot understand it. You're a man of haqq, and you can decipher and distinguish al-haqq from al-batil, righteousness from falsehood, the truth from lies. And then he looked at him, why is he telling me this? He was quiet, Uthman. He was quiet still. And then Abu Bakr followed by saying, قال هذه الأوثان, these idols, they looked showing, Mecca was full of idols. Each family had their idol. هذه الأوثان, these idols, التي يعبدها قومك, that your people worship, أليست حجارة صماء? Isn't it deaf rock? صماء is deaf. These rocks are deaf. They cannot hear your prayers. صماء لا تسمع ولا تبصر. These rocks cannot even see. ولا تضر ولا تنفع. Does not harm nor benefits. Now Abu Bakr as-Siddiq is speaking to the common sense of the aql, the intellect of Uthman ibn Affan. He's speaking to his mind. Think about it. These idols, they can see, they cannot do, they cannot help. So, what does Uthman say? قال بلى والله إنها كذلك. He says, you're right. By Allah, these idols cannot help, cannot do anything. After he heard these words from Abu Bakr, he told him, let me take you to the messenger of Allah, to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Let me take you with me. So he went with him. And as soon as they showed up, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam received him and he told him the following. As you can see in the screen, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا عثمان, O Uthman, أجب الله إلى جنته. Respond to the call of Allah so that you receive al-Jannah. Meaning the consequences of you accepting Islam will lead you to al-Jannah. فإني رسول الله إليك. I am the messenger of Allah to you ولجميع خلقه, and to all its creatures. These are the only words Uthman ibn Affan heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he became a Muslim. One day, Abu Lahab goes to his son. After they heard about Islam, after the Prophet ﷺ invited people to Islam, and after Abu Lahab told him, you know, you're a liar, why you're gathering us for us, I mean, they become enemies, he goes to his son, Uthman. What? He said, divorce this woman. What? Divorce Ruqayya, send her back to her dad. She is not worthy to be your wife. Why? Her father is a liar who called himself a prophet. Wallahi, Ruqayya, the daughter of the Prophet ﷺ, went back to her father's house as divorcee. As a divorcee. Just like that, divorce her. And when Uthman became a Muslim and he heard that Ruqayya was divorced, he waited the time and he went to her father and he asked for her hand. And Nabiyuna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gave him his daughter Ruqayya as a wife. Now when they got married, they said that Ruqayya was very beautiful and Uthman was a very handsome man. The people were chanting, you know, أحسن زوجين رآهما إنسان رقية وعثمان. They had a chant when they had the wedding. They said, well, how did I translate this? The best husband and wife ever seen by a man are Ruqayya and Uthman. His aunt came to tell him that the good news that now you can marry her, and they got married, they got the wedding. But Uthman ibn Affan could not practice his religion in Mecca. He was oppressed. And he wanted to worship what we call a ta'abbud. He would go in front of Al-Kaaba and pray all night to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And every time he did it, people come pushed him, people threw stuff at him, people beat him, and it was time to go. He went on with the first group to do hijrah. Where was the first hijrah going to? Where? Where is Al-Habasha? Where is Abyssinia? Where is Ethiopia? Where in Africa? East Africa. So Islam reached East Africa before it reached Al-Medina. Can you believe that? Islam reached East Africa before it reached Al-Medina, and they took on that journey, as I told you last time, they crossed the sea, and they traveled on East Egypt all the way back to Al-Habasha to seek protection from that Christian king who was a just man. He took his wife for one reason, to be able to worship Allah. That's why he migrated. He just wanted to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He found this amazing thing called al-ibadah. But then Ruqayya missed her father, and she wanted to go back. And they went back to Mecca after a few years, we do not know, I don't know exactly. They went back to Mecca, and they went to Hijrah with Nabi Muhammad to Al-Madinah. Uthman and Ruqayya. All of them now living in Al-Madinah. There is an incident that happened. Sa'id ibn al-As narrated that Aisha radiallahu anha said the following, that one day, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sitting in his house, and they heard a knock on the door. He said, "Who's there?" By the way, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sitting, and his thobe was up above his knee. He was just sitting like this, and his clothes was above his knee. He was doing something, sewing clothes. I don't know what he was doing, but his knee was exposed. The lower part of his thigh was exposed. And he heard a knock on the door. Who's there? Abu Bakr. Let him enter. Let him in. So Abu Bakr comes in, and the Prophet says, sit down. Second knock. Umar ibn Khattab, come in. He come in. He was like this. And then a while later, they heard a knock on the door, and they said, who's there? He said, Uthman ibn Affan. He said, let him in. But before he came in, the Prophet ﷺ covered his leg. He covered his legs. Uthman, please sit down. And they talked and talked. And then Uthman left. And everybody else left. Then Aisha told him, Ya Rasulullah, why when Abu Bakr came in, your thigh was exposed, you didn't do nothing. Umar came in, your thigh was exposed, you didn't do nothing. But when Uthman comes in, you were so shy and you covered your legs. He told her, how can I not be shy of a man? The angels of Allah are shy of him. The malaika of Allah, they have haya towards Uthman. I am going to have haya towards Uthman too. Because Uthman ibn Affan, he had his own haya. They said that Uthman ibn Affan said, I never took a shower while naked. He says, I always put something on me. He said, why? You're in your house taking a shower. Yeah, I'm afraid that Allah is watching my awrah and the malaika. He was just like this and he covers himself like this. That's how much haya he has. Nowadays, I'm not talking about non-Muslims. I'm talking about Muslim girls wearing tight jeans and walking down the street with no haya. I'm talking about Muslim girls, you see them belly showing, tattoos, going like this. Yeah, I'm a Muslim. Congratulations. While a man, a Sahabi of Rasulullah cannot take a shower without thinking that Allah might be looking at me, covering part of his body with one sheet. And you see women nowadays walking no haya. You know what haya means? When a woman walks in right now and she sees a room full of men and she goes like this, she turns around because she has haya, doesn't want to be a bunch of men. You go to any masjid, and here in San Diego, Allah inside, sister walking down, Salam alaikum, why are we going to do this? There's a bunch of men looking at her. She doesn't care. No haya whatsoever. No shyness, no modesty. So we want to be careful and to see what the Prophet ﷺ did when Uthman came to his house. He covered his legs. For those of you who wear shorts or short shorts, and then your parents walk in and you're like, yeah, no problem. No, you should react and show respect for your parents and the elders. Now, Uthman ibn Affan was a rich man. And a rich man who had a lot of money, he had servants, people who worked for him that he had hired. But he used to wake up at night to pray. And usually, back in the day, someone who's rich, if they wake up to pray, their servants would go prepare the water for them. They would heat up water. They don't have water heaters like today. They have to go heat up the water. So Uthman would wake up. He doesn't wake up none of his servants. He goes, he picks up the water, he heats it up himself or takes it cold, he makes wudu and prays. Someone told him, Ya Uthman, why don't you tell one of the boys to prepare the water for wudu for you. He says, الليل لهم يستريحون فيه. Nighttime is for them to sleep and rest. I pay them for working during the day. I don't pay them to work during the night. So I cannot ask them to prepare al-wudu for me. Every Friday, Uthman ibn Affan will look at his servants, the people that, they call them indentured servants or slaves. He look at one of them, he says, come here, what's your name? So and so, okay, here's your certificate. Here is your certificate. This is an Islamic certificate of freedom where they write the name of the slave, the age and everything, and the owner signs it and he tells him, you are a free man now. Because in Islam, if you free slaves, it's an act of worship. You get rewards by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more slaves you free. Uthman, every Friday, he frees one of his slaves and he goes to the market and he buys a slave from another man and he frees it. Every Friday, 2 slaves are free because of Uthman. Every Friday, 2 people are freed from slavery and indentured servitude because of Uthman wanted to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One day his wife gets sick, Ruqayya, in Medina. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was aware of that. Then Badr time came. They wanted to go to jihad for Badr. And the problem with Badr is different than other battles. It was voluntary, it's not mandatory. Anyone who wishes can come with us. If you don't want to go to Badr, you're free to stay. There was no problem with that. So Uthman got up, took his sword, and went to Rasulullah, I want to go with you to Badr. He says, no, stay home and take care of Ruqayya, she's very sick. Stay home and take care of your wife. So Uthman took care of his wife. Few days later, after her father came back from Badr, she passes away. His wife dies. Uthman was very sad, was very, very sad. He cried a lot, he missed her very much. And you know why he cried? He says, إِنَّمَا الْمُصِيبَةُ مُصِيبَتان. He says, she died after 2 years in Al-Madinah. After 2 years, she died in Al-Madinah. He says that my problem, my calamity is double. Not only I lost my wife, I also lost my kinship with the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ was my father-in-law. Now he's no longer my father-in-law. As soon as the Prophet ﷺ heard that Uthman ibn Affan was sad, double the sadness of regular people, he called on him and he told him, Ya Uthman, I will give you my second daughter, Kulthum. And he married Kulthum. And now that's why they call him Dhun Nurayn, the man with the 2 lights. Each light represents a daughter of the Prophet ﷺ, and because he married 2 daughters of the Prophet ﷺ in different times, he became Dhun Nurayn. And of course the Prophet ﷺ does not go like, come here Uthman, right? You guys gonna go on a date so you guys get to know each other? No, Islam it's nikah. There's no dating, no that stuff. People date for 5 years, they cannot live together for 1 week. Because people when they are dating, they only see the representative of the person. They see the fake facade of the person. You never know the true person until you live with them in the same house. That's why in Islam, we go straight to nikah, straight to marriage contract, and no haram, dating. And that's why I put this quote here. I really like it. It says, when I grow up, you guys are young, right? When I grow up, it's going to be nikah or nothing. That's it. Don't let nobody fool you. One day, the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina. And there was time of drought. There was very little rain, like it's happening in Somalia these days. People cannot find enough water. And they went to Medina, about 4 kilometers, about 2.5 miles, to the northwest of the Masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is a well. They call it Bi'r Ruma, the well of Ruma. This is the actual well from back at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This well belonged to a person. Some people say it was a Jewish person from Medina. Other people says that he was a converted Jew or something. Anyways, this person, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went to him. He told him, this is the riwayah that Abu Dharr al-Ghifari had narrated. He told him, would you, by the way, that man used to sell water from the well. Every time you take a bucket of water from that well, you have to give him the equal amount of your 2 hands together, like a mud, like this, in dates or grains or something. So technically, he did barter with the water. You want water, you have to pay. So people had no money to pay, had no grains, no dates to pay. I mean, they were poor, and they said, we cannot pay. They went to Rasulullah, we are poor, we cannot pay. So the Prophet ﷺ went to him. He told him, would you help the Muslims with water and not charge for it? He says, this is the only source of income I have. If I give water for free, then me and my kids will starve. The news spread that the Prophet went and spoke to this person, and this person didn't want to respond to the Prophet ﷺ. Uthman heard about it. He didn't talk to nobody. He was a rich man. He went to the well, to the guy who had the well, and spoke to him directly. He told him, he went to the owner of the well and told him, how much would you sell this well for? Huh? How much you want for it? The guy thought of a price. He said, I'm going to give some price that, astronomical, so he would let me go and become rich. He told him 35,000 silver coins. How much is a silver coin these days? What's the value of a silver coin, the ounce, per ounce? Something like that? Well, let's call that price, it would be the equivalent of like $100,000 or something like that. It was probably more than that. Huh? Almost 3 million, right? Wait, 35,000 dirham back then, it was very expensive. Uthman ibn Affan bought that well and went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, Ya Rasulullah, I bought that well and I donated for the Muslims for free. I just want the pleasure of Allah. He says, Ya Uthman, you deserve al-Jannah for doing this. You deserve to go to paradise. And this is the well that Uthman ibn Affan bought.
بئر عثمان بن عفان رضي الله عنه ذي النورين من هذا المكان الطاهر المبارك الذي مر فيه صحابة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وأولهم ذي النورين رضي الله عنه بئر عثمان بن عفان. عندما قدم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في المدينة المنورة هو والمهاجرين استنكر بعض المهاجرين بعض الماء في المدينة ولم يكن بها ماء عذب إلا هذا البئر المبارك. قيل أن الذي كان يملك
See how many pipes coming out of the well? And you're going to see the gardens that this well still irrigates.
وكان من الصحابة الكرام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لروما أتبيعنيها بعين في الجنة فقال يا رسول الله ليس لي ولعيالي غيرها فبلغ ذلك عثمان بن عفان بلغ ذلك سيدنا عثمان بن عفان رضي الله عنه اشتراها منه من صلب ماله ب35,000 درهم وقيل بغير ذلك ثم أتى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وقال له عثمان لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أتجعل لي يا رسول الله ما جعلت لروما فقال رسول الله نعم قال قد جعلتها للمسلمين. وفي رواية أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لسيدنا عثمان اجعلها سقاية للمسلمين وأجرها لك فاجعلها وقفا في سبيل الله للفقير والغني وابن السبيل. فجعل سيدنا عثمان رضي الله عنه دلوه مع دلاء المسلمين ابتغاء الأجر والثواب الذي وعده به رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو الصادق المصدوق الذي لا ينطق عن الهوى. وأصبح تدعى فيما بعد أن هذه البئر هي أول وقف في الإسلام ولكن ليست على وجه الدقة فقد سبقها قبل ذلك أرض المسجد النبوي. إن هذا الوقف المائي المبارك الذي كان أول وقف مائي في الإسلام ما زال عطاؤه حتى هذا اليوم.
So the water is still flowing until today. Look at the water coming out of the well of Uthman.
هذا ماء سيدنا عثمان بن عفان رضي الله عنه
430 years and this well is flowing.
هذا الماء المبارك يسقي الآن مزرعة مساحتها أكثر من 100,000 متر مربع.
There's 100,000 square yards that this well irrigates.
بدأ الاعتناء بالنخيل حول هذا البئر.
And there is about 1,550 palm trees that are irrigated with this water, and all the money they earn, they give it to poor people.
هذا الوقف المبارك وهذه الأرض المباركة ضيعها بالكامل يستثمر في وزارة الأوقاف في حساب سيدنا عثمان بن عفان رضي الله عنه حتى هذا اليوم. في صحيح البخاري قال عثمان قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم.
All this is because of Uthman's action and donation.
فيها كدلاء المسلمين فاشتراها عثمان رضي الله عنه. في صحيح البخاري من يحفر بئر روما فله الجنة فحفرها عثمان وقال من جهز جيش العسرة فله الجنة فجهزه عثمان.
See how big that farm is?
عثمان بن عفان ذي النورين الذي تزوج ابنتي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ولم يعرف رجل في التاريخ تزوج ابنتا نبي سوى سيدنا عثمان رضي الله عنه. الشور الذي ورد عند بئر أريس عندما جلس رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على حافة البئر وكان ينكشف شيئا من فخذه صلى الله عليه وسلم ثم دخل عليه سيدنا دخل سيدنا أبو بكر رضي الله عنه.
So basically he's repeating what we said earlier about
دخل سيدنا عمر.
about the story of Prophet. So you can see that this well here irrigates a giant farm, and this farm has all kinds of trees, fruits, vegetables, and most importantly palm trees. They said until today, the Ministry of Islamic Affairs in Saudi Arabia, they take all the harvests from this farm and they invest it on behalf of Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan. He bought that well over 1430 years ago, and that well is still giving until today. Everyone who drinks from this water, everyone who benefits from these fruits and vegetables, everyone who gets helped by the people in charge, the reward goes directly back to Uthman ibn Affan. Every bird and an animal, everything. Yeah, you're right. Every creature. Look how beautiful is this farming. Look how big the palm trees are. And look how the water keeps flowing and flowing in the desert. Why didn't it stop? For over 1,400 years. Good? Now, one day the Muslims had to go fight in an area called Tabuk. It's north of Al-Madinah. And the Muslims, the Prophet ﷺ had 40,000 men to fight with him. The problem, they needed food, they needed transportation, they needed armor, they needed weapons, and most of them were poor. So they did not have enough to prepare all this army in the battle of Tabuk. So Nabi Muhammad ﷺ says, whoever equips the army of Tabuk, as Allah calls it in the Quran, Jaysh al-Usra, will have Al-Jannah. Okay, now Uthman ibn Affan was one of the richest Sahaba. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq came with all his money, and he threw it in front of the Prophet ﷺ. Umar ibn Affan took half of his wealth. All the Sahaba, they took a lot of money and they came to the Prophet ﷺ. It was a lot, but it was not enough to equip 40,000 men. It's an entire army. Well, guess what? Uthman ibn Affan, when he heard that, he had one caravan. He prepared a caravan to do business with the Sham. A caravan had 100 camels, fully loaded with all kinds of stuff. They were leaving, and when they heard the Prophet ﷺ calling people for Tabuk, he told the caravan leader, stop! Don't go anywhere. Bring the caravan back. Ya Rasulullah, this caravan, take it now and I'll be right back. So Rasulullah took 100 camels, fully loaded with stuff, and he started distributing them on the Muslims, while Uthman will be right back. Guess what Uthman did? He came back with 940 camels in total. He took all the camels that he had with shepherds all over the valleys. He was a rich man. He said, bring me all my camels. 940 camels. And he says, I'll be right back. He went to his house and he brought 60 horses. And all the Sahaba are looking. And this man keeps bringing. Whoever equips the army of Al-Usra going to Tabuk, you have Al-Jannah? I want Al-Jannah. Not only that, he went to his house and he brought 700 ounces of pure gold. I don't know how much an ounce of gold is, but 700 ounces of golden coins. By the way, these are the Islamic gold coins back in the day. This is an authentic picture. And he just came and started pouring that in front of Rasulullah. And 10,000 silver coins. The Prophet ﷺ was sitting like this, and he put it in his lap. And the Prophet start going with his fingers around their money, and he says, "Ma darra Uthman shay'an ba'da al-yawm. Ma darra Uthman shay'an ba'da al-yawm." Nothing will harm Uthman after today. Meaning, whatever sins he would commit, it would not do anything to him because he just donated so much for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One day after this happened, Tabuk is over. There is so many events, and I'm trying to summarize because we don't want this lecture to take 3 hours. We just want to summarize. Uthman ibn Affan one time, Nabi Muhammad ﷺ was sitting in his house again, and Abu Bakr came to his house to visit him. Who is there? Again, Abu Bakr. Tell him to come in and tell him you'll go to Al-Jannah. Bashirhu bil-Jannah. Umar ibn al-Khattab, come in. Tell him to come in and tell him he's going to go to Al-Jannah. So he gave them the glad tidings of Al-Jannah. Uthman ibn Affan came in. Who's there? Uthman ibn Affan. Tell him to come in. Tell him he's going to go to Al-Jannah. For a calamity. على بلوة تصيبه. For a calamity that will strike him. Meaning that because of a problem, Uthman ibn Affan will go to Al-Jannah. Right there, Uthman knew that something is going to happen to him in the end of his days. One day, Uthman ibn Affan was receiving one camel from a Sham. You know, he's waiting as a businessman, and his servants bringing a camel fully loaded. And when the merchant, the business people of Al-Madinah, saw that Uthman is bringing a caravan, they wanted to do business. They came to Uthman, how much you sell this caravan? How much you sell the content of the caravan? The gold, the goods and the leathers and the clothes and whatever it's carrying, spices. He told them, one time says, Ya Uthman, if it's worth 10 dirham, I give you 11. Ya Uthman, if it's worth 10, I'll give you 12. They started doing what? Auction. One guy says, Ya Uthman, 10 بثلاث عشر. 10, I give you 13. If it's worth 10, I give you 13. Then Uthman looked at them, and he turned around, and he saw a group of poor Muslims have nothing. And he looked at the merchants ready to pay. They're auctioning one another. He told them, for each 10, I will take 100. 100? What do you mean? I'll give you 13. I'll give you three or two profit. You want 100? He said, yes. وجدت تجارة خيرا من هذه. I found a deal better than this deal. Which deal? قال تجارة مع الله عز وجل. My deal is with Allah. For every hasana, how much you get? 10 times. For 10 hasanat, how much you get? So Uthman ibn Affan wanted to multiply his business by 10. And that's why he told them, my business is 100 for 10, not 13 for 10. And he took the entire caravan and donated it for the sake of Allah. Uthman ibn Affan was the third Khalifa, the third Caliph after Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And he ruled the Muslims for 12 years. And during his time, the Muslim empire started expanding to North Africa, reached what we call today Tunisia, and went all the way knocking on the doors of China. Uthman ibn Affan, when the country grows so vast, Uthman received a complaint that a lot of Muslims are non-Arabs and they don't speak very well Arabic, so when they recite Quran they make mistakes. And now they argue, my recitation is better. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. I heard it from this sheikh, and I heard it from this sheikh. You don't speak Arabic? No. Do you speak Arabic? No. How do you know it's correct or not correct? You cannot blame them. They were honest people making mistakes. So Uthman ibn Affan gathered all the Quran. And how he did it? He went to Hafsa bint Umar and he told her, give me the Quran that your father had gathered. And he took the one copy of the Quran. This is one of the original copies of Uthman. And he commanded the Sahaba, 5 of the Sahaba who memorized the Quran. He told them, write the Quran on the same script of Mecca, not other scripts. And they produced 5 copies of, this is the Quran of Uthman. This is the original copy of Quran of Uthman. And he took this copy and he sent it to 5 areas where the Muslim empire had expanded. And he told them, this is the Quran that everybody should copy from. Every other copy, you burn it. They burned all the other, well, it was not a real copy. They had, one guy had 1 surah, the other had 2 surahs. It was not the Quran gathered in one piece. So he sent them the Quran and commanded everything else to be burned. Uthman ibn Affan, at the end of his rule, he saw a lot of fitna. And we have to explain fitna. When people are confused, they don't know the truth. Some people called al-Khawarij, they came and they said, Uthman is not a good leader. Why? Because they were incentivized by one munafiq, one hypocrite, who wanted the Muslims to fight one another. Abdullah ibn Abi Salul, as we will talk about him inshallah on another occasion, but I don't want to make this lecture too long. And some people came to attack Uthman ibn Affan in Medina. Sahaba are scattered all over the world, making futuhat and giving da'wah to people to Islam. And Uthman now has very little protection. But some Sahaba, including Abu Hurairah, Al-Hasan, Al-Hussein, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Abdullah ibn Umar, all of them, they dressed for war and they went to Amir al-Mu'mineen and says, Ya Uthman, we will protect you. Anybody who's to come to you, they have to go through us. Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein, the sons of Ali ibn Abi Talib, they stood up. And then Uthman ibn Affan, he says, I don't sacrifice these young boys, these young men for myself. If you obey me, your commander, go home. He sent everybody home. No protection. Let me be. while people are trying to sneak up on his house and do harm to him. He would with a wife who was Christian. Her name was Naila. She was a Christian woman who became a Muslim. And a man jumped over the wall and he landed, and she protected her husband. She said, "Where are you going?" And he slapped her on the face. When she fell, Uthman ibn Affan looked at him. He says, "You are an enemy of Allah. What did she do to you to harm her? May Allah amputate your arms and your legs and make you blind and take you to hellfire." And when he heard this, he panicked and he ran away. Another gang of people jumped on his house and they saw him lifting the Quran. "Ya Uthman, why aren't you scared?" So reading Quran, because he's the man that gathered the Quran. That night, he saw a dream. He told his wife before they came to kill him. He saw a dream and he said, "Yesterday I dreamed that I was with Rasulullah and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and Umar, and they were eating, and I came to eat with them, and I sat down, wanted to eat." Rasulullah told him, "Ya Umar, don't eat with us." Ya Uthman. He told him, "Ya Uthman, don't eat with us. You have to fast tomorrow because you're going to break your fast with me inshallah later." So he was fasting. And the first guy came to attack him. He saw him reading the Quran. He struck him and he cut his hand. He looked at him, he says, "You only cut the hand that had written the whole Quran. That's all you did." Another guy stabbed him 9 times. He says, 3 for Allah and 6 because of something hateful I have in his heart. The Sahaba told him, "Wallahi, all your stabs were nifaq upon nifaq." And Uthman ibn Affan, the commander of the believers, was buried in Al-Baqiyah, in a very humble grave. We learn from the story of Uthman radiallahu anhu, he sacrificed himself for the ummah not to fight one another. He didn't want to cause the Sahaba to graze up and start killing the Khawarij, because he didn't want to be the cause for Muslims killing one another. And for that reason, he sent them home. And he knew he was going to be killed. Uthman ibn Affan, a man who was known for his haya and shyness, I hope you guys are now more familiar with him and take some of his moral character, showing respect and haya. First and foremost for your parents. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep you safe and healthy. Jazakumullah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.